In the second half release of 2023 for comp, we can also now get data to feed the employee history of variable pay from custom objects. Until this release, we could use custom objects data in eligibility rules for employee history, but we couldn't get data from custom objects. And so here I built a test case that will show how it all works. So we have here the situation before integration with the MDF object, where we have the employee that we will use as a test case in EC has, for the fiscal year 2022, a salary in EC effective 6/1/2022. The salary becomes 168,000. And then after integration, after we create the MDF data and we add these two entries in the effective dated MDF data with a field called status, once we run the employee history again, we get the data retrieved from the MDF object, just like it would have been from a field in Employee Central. So now we're reading from effective dated MDF objects, just like we can read from comp info and job info, and we've been able to read from them for many releases already. And so the fact that we can read from custom objects, it really adds incredible possibilities in terms of configuration. It solves a lot of issues in the product and specific customer requirements for which we even documented some workarounds. For example, the case of customers wanting to, as it is explained here, wanting to calculate bonuses based on the December 31st salary, but with the FTE captured in job info reflected throughout the year. So to do that, we had to use workarounds such as the one documented in this blog. Also for customers using actual earnings instead of contractual salary. This enhancement opens up many possibilities to automate this for customers. This was one of the things I was saying at the end of my blog here, where I said this, automating this the prerequisite would be to have employee history variable pay integrated with custom objects. So now we're going to work on this now that we have this new option to come up with new creative ways to solve customer issues, which is really amazing. So let's do an example here. So I added this column to my employee history background element, and we're going to run it without MDF integration. So we'll leave it blank and run it, and then we'll see what we get, and then we just do the mapping to retrieve the data from the custom object. So here what we're expecting is to get this situation. So I created a test user which has these exact values in EC. So we are expecting to see exactly this when we open up employee history after the job runs. And once we check this and that everything's correct, then we'll go and check before we even do the mapping of the new column of the employee history to the MDF. We'll just check the MDF to make sure everything's okay, and then we'll run the integration and conclude with this test case. So let's check the job here. So with this release, the performance of the jobs has also been improved, so it goes a lot faster, but it will still probably take 30 seconds. So I'll pause the job here and we'll just keep track of the job ID and pause the recording until it gets marked as completed to save us a little bit of time in the recording. Okay, so we can see this job here was marked as completed. It got split into different sub-jobs, which we recommend doing. This is a setting that we can turn on in provisioning to save time, especially when running on large databases. It saves a lot of time. So let's go ahead and now check the employee history. We have a filter on the user ID of our test user, so we can see this is the date of the top of stack record as we begin the program date of 1/1/2022. This is the start date of the record that's effective on 1/1/2022, so that's normal that it's not aligned with 1/1/2022. And then the change on salary, 152,000 and then 168,000 starting 6/1. So now let's go ahead and go to delete all the records here first, and then go and map our EC employee history, our background element for employee history to the new field in Employee Central. And before we run it, we'll go and check the MDF data. So we do employment details and then the custom object I created is called MDF varpay data integration. And in it, I created a field, a text field called status ARB. And then if I save, right, so we're going to go and import employee history from Employee Central. And while this runs, this time instead of pausing the recording, we'll just go and check the data in the MDF object. So the data in the MDF object is going to be aligned with the test case I showed in the beginning. So if we look for MDF, varpay, and we have our user, James Patrick, and he has 1/1/2020 as first record in the MDF with the status field with the value A, and then it changes on 9/1/2022 with the value B, which is here. And so we're expecting this output where basically the employee history processor captures the change that happens on 9/1/2022 here, and keeps the salary that is effective in EC as of that date. So let's go back and keep an eye on the job that is running. So it's still in progress, so I'll do the same and pause the recording so we can be more efficient here in viewing this recording after the fact. Okay, so our job completed here. This was the ID. So let's go to employee history and check that everything is aligned with what we had in our Excel now. And so we can see first record ends 5/31 with salary 152,000. Then we got a 6/1 record with 168,000 and the value A, and then 9/1/2022 with the value B. So this concludes the test case here. I want to say this is one of the most exciting enhancements to Variable Pay in many years. This opens up incredible options for configuration. The reason for that is that when we configure custom objects, when we add a new field to an object, we can add on-save business rules that will populate the value of a field based on data from other fields. So we can say, for example, we could create a field that would say if the value equal B and the value of external name equal this, then give me that value. So we have unlimited options now to compensate for maybe the lack of data in EC or very complex requirements on calculating very specific things that would be too complicated to put in EC. Thanks.